Okay, we're good.
Before we start our council meeting, Councillor Foss, Councillor Peters, just so you know, there's 5 people in our chambers. Mrs. Horling, Mr. Hammond, and 2 Simpsons, and then Officer Wright. The Simpsons are just here observing. So we'll now welcome everyone to our council meeting. We'll call this meeting to order. We have an agenda in front of us. Any deletions or additions to the agenda from anyone?
Yeah, I'd like to add at the very end. So as we talked about last week, we had to leave.
So you want it as, do you want it enclosed still, or you want it as
It doesn't
6.5?
matter.
6.5, Councillor Hickey. Okay. So we need a motion to accept the agenda with the amendments. Councillor Hickey makes that. All in favor? Okay, good. Delegations, chamber delegation request, that's Mr. Hammond. Go
Yes.
ahead.
Do you want me to just hear, or?
I think you come up here, you're closer to the mic.
Excellent.
They can't see you. Darn, I wish they
That
could
might
see
be
you.
good. We just have a list of complaints. No, just kidding. What we've kind of come up with as with part of the Chamber of Commerce, we've noticed a situation in town where we seem to have a revolving door of businesses that are failing and going under, these small businesses. And everybody gets on Facebook and like, oh, if only we'd supported them as a community and stuff. And we don't feel that that's the community's responsibility to support the businesses. What we do think is that these failures are predictable and to that degree preventable. And is administration and commerce, we've got to stop letting these business owners go down a path that we know that they're not equipped to travel. The solution that we would like to put together is development of a small business advisory committee or council. The big franchises, like, we've got Subway, we've got Dairy Queen. I spent 13 years on the corporate side of Subway, which gave me a lot of experience with the small businesses and looking for key indicators that would help them predict success. And in a big way, Raymond is a franchise. And we need to work to protect the brand, much like these franchises do with the big companies offering support and guidance. We could offer that to the little guy as well. We have a lot of experience in the community already that we can use to provide recommendations. This wouldn't be an approvals committee. It's recommendations, information, resources that these business owners may not be aware of or have considered yet. We want to address critical points of operation that they may not have come up with or may not have addressed, like trade area analysis and research. Something more than posting on Raymond area discussions saying, what does Raymond need? We need to have a better and a more in-depth research and backgrounds than just, I have 14 friends on Facebook that said that, we need a cat park. Considering traffic, population demand. Is there a similar demographic to Raymond where they're using a successful business that we're thinking of starting up? Break-even analysis, do they even know coming in, how much are my expenses going to be? How much do I have to make to cover these things? Business plans, marketing strategy. my whole marketing budget gonna be a little poster that, my kids have drawn up and put in the window. The sales projections, helping them find a good location. Are you ready to go for a storefront? Or, are there still some advantages to staying in a home-based business until we're at that point? Accessibility signage and all these things. Basically, want to put a kind of a package together and be available to answer questions or even, maybe challenge them a little bit to make sure that they thought of these things. So what we're looking for as the Chamber of Commerce, we feel the best chance of success that this has is a really close cooperation with town council and the town administration. And we want to help these people before they even come in and get a business license. Have they thought about any of these considerations? Rather than, just, they pay the money, get the business license, pat them on the butt and wish them luck as they go out. Want to make sure that they're really prepared and have the best chance of success. Any questions or comments?
Does anyone have any questions for?
Yeah, I got a question.
Yeah.
So this advisory committee, it's done by the chamber? Majority of the chamber, or are you looking for help, do you want to form a committee and have a member of council on the committee with you, or administration on the committee with you, or?
I think that would be the best chance of success. I mean, as a chamber, we're going to try to do this with or without assistance, but we really would have so much better chance of helping these people if we were all working together. Whether it's somebody from council and somebody from the town admin on it, and just to we're all working together. We're all trying to help these people and grow the base.
So I think you have a great idea, but I have a few questions.
Mm-hmm.
Your chamber right now, what is it? Isn't it supposed to be doing these things, helping people get along with their businesses? And
It's one of the things that we really need, and would really help them is finding out from council and admin when these people are even coming to get their business application. Because by the time they're up and opening shop, it might be too late for a lot of them. You're going to find out, opened up shop in the wrong spot, and how are we going to help compensate for having a location with limited visibility or limited accessibility. Those kind of things I feel would really be better served way far before they even turn on the lights.
Yeah, you're making a really good point. And the reason that franchises are successful is because they already have a business model, like you said, and they don't start before they're ready to start. I mean, your Subway didn't open until there was a sidewalk, everything was ready to go, the sign was up, you start. The same with Dairy Queen. But, the small businesses, you can predict the failures like clockwork because they start before they're ready. And I think what you're saying is we don't even know that they're going to start, and all of a sudden we don't know how to help them because they've already started and now it's too late. So I think what you're asking is can we cooperate with the town and say, as soon as somebody comes in for a license, we say, okay, let us put you in touch with our committee and you can get some assistance.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, wouldn't it work through chamber already? Like Jones will work through chamber.
I'm
just trying not to create another committee if we don't have to.
If there's, if she's already in there.
Yeah, but is Greg Robinson would be an awesome resource. I mean,
But isn't he a part of that committee too?
I was going to say, so we could form a subcommittee but I think what he's saying is, do we have the blessing from the town to have
Yeah.
access to some of this information so that way they can make. The chamber works after the fact, once the businesses are opened. But in order to help businesses, you have to know before they open who they are so you can assist them.
We need
Is that
some
what you're
help.
saying, Gary?
Yeah, we need some help helping the people before they even throw their sign up and turn on.
I think there's a lot of people that come to town, they start, or they already live in town, and they wanna open up a small business, and they don't even think about going to talk to the chamber.
No,
They just come into town and say, I'm doing this business, pay for the business license, and they go. So somehow, we need to let them know that the chamber can help them
the
out.
chamber can help you. Oh, you wanted a business license. Well, we recommend, before you get your business license, we would like you to have at least a session with the Chamber of Commerce.
And
Good idea.
and that part we can't do on our own. We need the help from
So
your end.
I see that as your ask.
Yeah,
To have the cooperation of the town.
So
Do you
there'd be no problem having a subcommittee off of the chamber already.
Yeah.
That's what-
Yeah, and I think that's what they want, is to have a subcommittee of their own, but they want to have more cooperation from the town to let them be aware of what's.
But the chamber
Public
can't
copy.
really come to the town and say, hey, tell us who's getting a business license. It's, the onus would kind of be on the town to say, we know you want a business license, we have a little procedure, we'd like you to talk to the chamber first.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know, would that be a bylaw, would that be what would that be?
Curtis, are you trying to make a comment?
Yeah, so, I mean, I think what the chamber is doing is, trying to do is very admirable and something that can and could be supported. I think the challenge though is there's already the Community Futures organization that Councillor Fromm is a part of. They already offer businesses of all kinds, free business planning advice, how to develop a business plan, how to do your forecasting and those types of things. And so my concern is duplication and added workloads for effectively the same thing.
Yeah.
The other thing is that I don't think we're really in a position to mandate or to require people to do a session. I think we can educate that, hey, have you talked to the chamber? They do have this available to you, but if individuals aren't wanting to, I'm not really inclined to add that as a permitting requirement, because the whole focus of the province is to try and make things as convenient as possible and as quick as possible for those that are interested. And so,
and that's one of the things that we really want to focus on here, is that it's not an approvals committee. You don't need our blessing before they go and open up. We just want to make sure that, you know, we're giving them everything that they possibly can to benefit them.
yeah, for sure. And again, I wasn't trying to come across as critical. I think what you guys are offering is great.
And those other resources might exist. Do we know how many people are actually using them right now?
I think you do on the Community Futures. That's one of the things I have written down here. And South Grow's another one that helps too. Curtis, you have any comment on those two? We just talked about Community
The
Futures.
Community Futures is an organization that's there. South Grow is more Global Regional Economic Development Alliance that's focusing kind of higher end economic investment in the region, not necessarily on individual businesses. That's where Community Futures comes in, where they walk prospective business owners through their development of the business plan and things to consider that the chamber's suggesting. And so I think there's nothing wrong for sure with the town saying, hey, when someone comes in as a business owner or looking for a business license, just to let them know about opportunities that are available to them and to point them in the direction. Obviously, we'll do whatever council requests, but I'm not sure how interested administratively I would be to recommend the formation of another committee that has another councilor rep on it and another administrative requirements to do something that I think effectively we already have a committee that does that. There could be better coordination, and we could perhaps involve the chamber in some way, maybe with Community Futures a bit more directly. So there's some of that correlation. But again, I'm not trying to criticize the intent, because I think the intent is very admirable, and it's something that we can try and find a way to do.
So right now, when somebody comes for a business license, are they being provided with any of that information? Community Futures, are we just kind of assuming that if they wanted it, they would go get it?
It depends on what it is. If it's a home-based business license, there's a process that we can approve for permitting. If it's not, if it's a renewal, we don't mention anything because they already have a business license. But I'm saying that's something preemptively we could start with, is saying, you're a new business owner, here's a packet, there's information. the chamber, we'd love if the chamber would like to help us develop that packet, and we can kind of have a conversation about that. It's just starting another organization for the sake of having a meeting, when we already have an organization that does that and the chamber has a role for that. I think we could just maybe coordinate resources a bit more effectively than forming another committee. However, if council thinks that that's what we want to do, then we'll have to do our best to oblige.
So you have a group of people here that are willing to help people when they want to start a business. So I think we could be asking our economic director to direct them or push them towards them, or ask them to go to the chamber and talk to them before they start the business, and that's what you're asking too.
Or like Kurt said, even just something like, they come to apply, just give them a packet.
Yeah.
to-
I think that's
With all
perfect.
the Chamber of Commerce
Yeah.
information and all the community features and information stuff, I'd say you might wanna contact
I
those
mean,
people for help or any questions.
Most small business owners wouldn't even know community futures existed
Yeah.
in reality, I don't think, you know.
Yeah, and I feel that any information we can give them beforehand is gonna be better than.
Then none.
I agree. So I like the packet idea.
So could you develop a packet, something to give to,
Definitely.
so Greg could hand those out when people come?
Yeah, I
For
can,
license? Is it
And
him
I'm
that-
sure Greg can give you some.
Yeah.
Grades, or even just having it at the front desk with,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, good.
Sounds
just so
really
we can
good.
get this information out and, give these people a better chance of making it.
I agree.
Well, good.
I like it.
This is good of you to be trying to help other businesses to succeed.
All right.
Any
Appreciate
other questions for Gary? No?
No button for- Okay.
Okay, well, thank you very much for coming.
All right, thank
Thanks,
you.
Gary.
I don't know if you've heard or not, but there was 5,000 trout put in the Corner Lake. And they'd like, I guess one of the reasons why they did it is this lake there's no other lakes in this part of the country. So we're hoping a lot of people are gonna be coming into Raymond to go fish and thus go go to our stores, go to our fast food, get gas.
Excellent.
And is excellent. So we'll see what happens from
Yeah.
this. They're even talking even more fish if there's lots of fishing going on there, so lots of action, so.
Cool.
That just happened yesterday.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for
Thank you.
letting us.
Thanks for coming in. Yeah, you're welcome to stay or to, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, your next delegation is Officer Wright from the RCMP, giving us a quarterly report.
I can do that. Did Curtis share the last
Yeah.
one we got from OSP?
Oh,
It was it's a new thing that division has mandated,
Yeah.
some kind of duplication of work, and it covers off all 5 of my areas, so it's not broken down specific to Raymond. Was that forwarded to everyone, Curtis?
Yeah, I think might have actually sent it to a previous meeting, so while you're
Sure.
talking, I'll go find it and put it on there.
Yeah, it's really nothing to speak to, because it kind of covers the area as a whole. I kind of like the more personalized approach that I can give you guys for Raymond specifically. So really, crime trends, we're kind of holding our own, pretty much matching 2019, well, 2020. I just still leave them the last year, even though we're 2021, 2020 fiscal year. So this is the last quarterly report I'll be giving you in this format, because our priorities have changed. I'm gonna start including some more area-specific stuff, like the patrols are doing in the area, and just trying to personalize it even a little more to each of the communities. It's still gonna be all the same: property crime, persons offenses, but when your property crime, persons offenses, everything's stayed pretty much the same. Criminal code, other marginally up. We had quite a few breaches. We got a couple people on conditions that don't seem to like to abide by them, so that ran that up a little bit. Nice to see no drug offenses again. Federal statutes, moving forward, you're gonna see that going up. We're mandated through PHAC to, as people are returning to Canada, to do the mandatory 14 days. We have to go check on them and make sure they're compliant. So we have the federal statutes is Federal Quarantine Act, so we're starting to track those more. So you're gonna see, I haven't been tracking them through the first year, but I got my fingers wrapped. So we have to create files for those now, so you'll see that go up, and that's all it's gonna be. Provincial stats are down, which is
good. That covers a lot of the mental health act, that sort of stuff, which is actually kind of bucked the trend here. All the other areas seem to spike way up, and Raymond, for whatever reason, went down this quarter. Traffic kind of stayed the same. Criminal code traffic, still again, nice to see no impaired driving in Raymond. And collisions pretty much stayed the same. We're sitting pretty good. We had one constable transfer out to Coronation, but we're sitting full right now.
So who transferred?
Mustafa.
Oh, okay.
Well, I want to go to Coronation, but each their own.
Wow.
So no, he's gone, and our new recruit's doing exceptionally well. So he came with he had about 7 years in, I forget which hospital in Calgary, but it sounds like it's pretty rough and tumble hospital as a peace officer. So he's writes very well articulate, very mature. So
What's his name?
Quinn Becker.
Quinn Becker?
Yeah. He looks like he's about 15 years old, but he's about 30. So he's baby face young guy. And then our other guy, Glenn, he's the guy that was 14 years prior to Calgary Police Service, so he's hit the ground running hard.
Okay.
Busy,
Sorry,
so
I
we're sitting
I
good.
have your 3 other attachments there, if you'd like to go over.
Sorry?
The other 3 letters that you had sent previously, I have those uploaded to the agenda here now if you wanted to.
Well, I don't really want to. It's just if anyone has an interest in what's going on in the other areas of our jurisdiction, but I can certainly explain anything if they want. It's just, I don't know, Division's got this idea they want more reporting, which it's I get it for a big detachment, but a lot of detachments don't do what we do, show up at council meetings regular and try and keep everyone informed, but I don't know that you guys, maybe you do have an interest in what's going on in Warner County and the other areas, but it's just a whole catch-all of all our stats, whereas this is your fifth of the whole area. If you prefer to keep it that way, it's created a lot of extra work for me, but I prefer to keep personalized stats to your communities.
Sure. Does anybody have any questions for Officer Wright? Councillor Foss?
Yeah, I just have one question, more curiosity than anything. As I look at your report there, the collisions, you've got, I think, 8 collisions. And are those all within the town of Raymond, or does these stats encompass?
That's specifically within the town of Raymond.
Okay.
They're not, we haven't had any serious head-on, something like that, but someone, backs into their neighbor's garbage can and scratches their car, they come and see us because they need a file number for the insurance claim, that sort of stuff. I don't believe we've had any ped strucks or anything like that. It's usually minor insurance stuff, someone backs into their own car in the driveway, that sort of stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else with any questions? Councillor Fromm, welcome to Zoom.
You're on mute. You're on mute, Ron.
Anyway, I have a question for you. I've had a few people complain about drones. A lot of people are using these drones and flying into people's neighborhoods and backyards. And
Yeah, the Facebook's got that going again, eh?
what can you do about that?
Bylaw.
We need a bylaw for it?
All we can do. The one guy that we have been dealing with is generating a lot of these complaints. He's under the weight limit, so there's not a whole lot we can do. When you're over, Sean Smith's the traffic guy that's right into those things, but I think it's 250 grams. You need to be marked, you need a pilot's license. But short of a bylaw, that's gonna be our best bang for a buck. We really have no enforcement. If you see one of these great big ones, then yeah, we can deal with it if we can find the pilot of it. And it's actually fairly stiff fines with Transportation Canada. It's about $1,000 a fine for. So if he's flying it and the no pilot license on marks, a couple $1,000. But finding the guys isn't always so easy. But it's the same guy doing it all. He's been talked to sternly. I'll put it that way.
So I don't know how they work, but I would think you'd have to be fairly close to them.
No, some of them have some pretty good range.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. But I mean, it's not like the old RC cars where you had to be line of sight. Those things can go up with the camera.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I know some people are in their backyard having a barbecue and then Joe came over and was watching them for about 10 minutes. And I wish they would have had a gun and shot it down.
Yeah, and they are a problem that, well, Winchester does make drone ammo. I wouldn't be firing that off, 12-gauge drone ammo. No, you know, it's a real, one of those things, it's a real problem that they've kind of caught up and there's no legislation to really, where we can, like, if you had an airstrip or something like that, within, I think it's 11 kilometers, we're good.
So if our bylaw committee wanted to tackle this, is there something they could find somewhere to look about bylaws and drones?
Last time we went, I think we spoke about a year ago on this.
Yeah, you and I personally, yeah.
I'd have to look again, because there is one community that I found that has a bylaw in place already about just no operating ROVs, the title, whatever the title is for drones, just to have no ROVs or whatever they're called within town limits. There's really no reason to fly them here. They're annoying.
So A was our man that would look after this, and I see him working it down. I'm ready to look into it. So that's, I guess we'll have the bylaw committee look into that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's equally frustrating for us when we get complaints and we gotta tell the public, we don't have any teeth that tackle that. Like I say, unless they're the big drones, then yeah, we can deal with it, but they're these little backyard Radio Shack things, are no different than a kid with a remote control car.
A question, what if somebody was legitimately making a film or movie or whatever, could they get a permit? Like, remember for our energy film, we had a drone over, I mean, can you get a permit? I mean, would you put that into the bylaw so that if they're doing something legitimate, you could actually get a permit for it?
Yeah, and I mean, there's lots of legitimate applications too. I mean, we used a ton of drones in our search and rescues and those things, right? So they definitely have their purpose. Farmers are using them now for crop layouts and things like that. Not that I know anything about farming, but I'm told that's what they're using them for. So.
Or maybe you can start checking the cows or something, or the horses with the drone.
You sit home and
Easier
send the drone.
easier to
Yeah,
drive out
send the
there.
drone, send the drone out.
Easier for me.
Yeah, sounds great.
Anyway, okay, anyone else have any questions for Officer Wright?
I just
What would
have,
happen if you could shoot one
go
down?
ahead.
Go ahead, Councilor Fromm.
What would happen to a guy if he did shoot one down that was bothering your backyard barbecue?
Well, now you're into firearms legislation, and there is teeth there for sure. So, discharging firearms from residential, that sort of thing.
What if it was just a BB gun?
Good luck hitting it. I'm not that good a shot.
Try a slingshot.
Big shot,
It's close enough, garden hose, I guess. I don't know.
yeah.
I'd have a better chance throwing a baseball at it, than just trying to shoot it.
Anyway, yeah, that's,
Okay.
what about our houses that are called drug houses? Are they going?
Yeah, we're still picking away up. Yeah, I've got Alert of Lethbridge on board. They're helping us out here. They're wrapping up a big project, so they're willing to come down and spend some time with us and get some plainclothes guys in the area to do a little. It's a challenge with us in uniform to do any kind of covert work. So trying to get some covert guys in and deal with them, but we've got a couple of them have overdosed, so they're kind of in the herd, natural selection, I guess.
Yeah, I understand that one.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Ben, did you have something?
Yeah, I was just gonna mention, last couple days I've been hearing on the news, a couple other provinces have, given peace officers the authority to help out with the COVID situation and stuff. Is there any talk in Alberta doing that?
They've had it all along.
Pardon me?
They've had it all along.
Well, I thought they had, and it was taken away.
Yeah, it was just basically, it expired and they renewed it almost
Okay.
immediately. Yeah, I don't think it was not made super public, but yeah, no, they never lost authority.
Okay. Okay, sounds good.
any other comments or questions for Officer Bond?
Wow, they get demoted?
No,
Right,
Officer Wright.
It's late today, yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Okay, well, we appreciate you coming.
You betcha.
Thank
See you
you.
next time around.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry for getting your name wrong there. Okay. Okay, let's move into the approval of the minutes. 4.1, we have April 6 council minutes.
I'll move to approve those.
Councilor Harper moves to approve those. Any, everything look okay? Any discussion from this? If not, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Okay, good. We have the council committee minutes from April 13th.
I'll move to accept those.
Councilor Hagee moves to accept those. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, the financial reports. Was Marty gonna be here?
Oh, he's
Who's
here.
there?
I didn't see you come in, I'm sorry.
I was here at 6 o'clock.
But not sitting right there, were you?
Yeah.
I
You
didn't
walked
see
right
it.
by all of us.
I didn't see it, sorry.
So, on Thursday night at the Audit Finance Committee, we had our auditors present. Well, not present, they zoomed in and presented the audited financial statements for the town of Raymond for 2020, December 31st, 2020. They are in draft format in your packages. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer any of those questions. We went over it in the Audit Finance Committee. So Councillor Foss, Councillor Fromm, and Mayor Depew were there. And it was actually approved at that committee meeting by Mayor Depew and approved by everybody. So we've accepted these financial statements, and the auditors accepted them as that. There's a lot of good things that are shown on these financial statements. So if you go to page 4 of the financial statement, this right here, right off the top, cash is significantly increased from last year to this year. As of December 31st. So that's a positive sign. We've had a bit of a struggle for the last couple years, keeping above water, and we're definitely headed in the right direction now. So that's a really good sign. The other good thing on there is our long-term debt goes from 10 million down to 9 million. So we're here again, we're also headed in the right direction. So not only did we increase our cash position, we've also decreased our long-term debt by $1 million. So overall, our financial position is significantly improved. If you look at the next page, it's your statement of operations for the year. Basically, we're showing a $777,000 profit this year. Which a lot of it had to do with COVID. Not opening the pool saved us a lot of money and a lot of costs. Plus, we also had significant revenues from the golf course, very much higher than normal. So those are two of the things that really helped us out. Also, we just kind of cut back on our expenditures as well, so that's a good thing. Do you have any questions?
And while you're thinking, I'll just make the comment that on the 2020 numbers you see before you, Martin, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but those numbers have amortization within them. So that's why some of those numbers are in a deficit position. It's not an actual cash deficit position, it's an accounting exercise. And so, Martin is correct in the profit standing, but just if you were curious about that, that was the one clarification.
So at the audit and finance committee, we went over this, like you said, in pretty good detail with the auditor. And, yeah, I made the motion is what he was saying, and the other two counselors accepted the motion and approved the motion. Any other questions from anybody on this? If you want to go to number 19, page 19 on it, I just want to show this. This is really good. This is a hot spot 4 years ago in our town, the kind of salaries our council is making, and this is pretty decent compared to what it was. And I think that's everybody should be commended. I know it was a COVID year, but it's still pretty decent for everybody. Any other comments from anybody? You don't need a motion on this then, because we've already had it, so this was just for information purposes?
Mhm.
Okay,
Unless there's some complaints.
complaints? Any complaints from anybody?
That's hard to complain about, this is so good.
So 5.2, the year-to-date budget summary, you wanna talk about that too, Marty, or is that?
This is also, we discussed this at Audit Finance Committee. And it's so early in the year, it's really hard to see where we are based on our budgets, but we're all right within the parameters of what we'd have budgeted for the year. So if you have any questions, I'll be here to answer those for you. If something comes up during the week, after you've been able to have a chance to look at this even further, and you have some questions, by all means, just fire me off an email and I'll respond to you.
Anybody have any questions for Marty? We appreciate him, what he does, his work him and Kim do. Okay, we also made a motion on this, someone else made a motion, we approved this budget summary at Audit and Finance Committee. Okay, if there's no other questions, we'll move on. Thank you for coming, Marty. Items for discussion then, 6.1, bylaw 1100-01, the tax rate bylaw amendment. Curtis, you want to talk on this?
So, in my haste, I had us pass first, second, and third reading to this bylaw. Unbeknownst to me, we had not quite yet received our designated industrial assessment mill rate, their assessment amount and mill rates from the province. And we were still waiting on and then our assessors came back to us and said that all the properties that we're currently leasing to third-party businesses that are operating within town facilities, they actually need to be assessed a taxation amount. So we've had it where the municipal tax has been waived as they're leasing, but it does count against the education and the seniors requisitions as part of the equalized assessment throughout the province. So that did make some slight adjustments to the numbers there. So very minutely, things have changed. It's not going to make really a tangible difference on a whole, but because they are different from what was approved, we're just bringing it back to you again for a second to have third reading and then third reading again if you guys are willing.
Okay. So we understand what he's talking about then?
I'll move first reading.
Council Fromm moves first reading. The tax rate bylaw 1100-01. Okay, any discussion on this? And all in favor? Okay, good. So the 6.1.2, the bylaw 1100-1 tax rate bylaw, the second reading.
I'll move second reading. Oh, Bryce.
Bryce is moving second reading. Councilor Peters, I mean?
Yes.
Any discussion on this? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Okay, good. Now we need to have a motion to have the third reading.
I'll move to have the third reading.
Bylaw 1100-1 6.1. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, good. Now, 6.1.4, the third reading of bylaw 1100-01.
I'll move third reading.
Councilor Foss makes that motion. Any discussion? All in favor? That was quick. So move to item 6.2, the bylaw 1100-21, the local improvement plan, the second reading for the raw water. Thanks, Marty.
That's fine.
Go ahead, Curtis.
Every time that council passes a local improvement, there's a corresponding bylaw that outlines what the terms are of that local improvement. And council has approved a number of raw water system extensions to adjacent properties that are adjacent to an existing raw water main. Most of those have agreed to the local improvement, and they're all listed here with their individual frontages or sort of corresponding amounts and costs. And so we passed first reading on April 6th. We're looking for a second and third reading, potentially tonight if you're willing. The property owners will pay the total amount owing either upfront or over time. If it's over time, there's a yearly interest, there's a small interest fee, which I think is less than 3% or 2.5%, sorry, that is for over 10 years. But it will be an upfront cost of $125,000 roughly to the town that we're funding through reserves this year. And then we'll recoup that money over time.
Have you had any disgruntled emails coming in, Curtis, or anybody complaining about this?
No, there were 2 properties expressed opposition to the local improvement, but it wasn't sufficient to change the direction. Their petitions were all considered valid. And so since the initial notices have gone out, I haven't heard anything from any affected party, negatively or positively.
Okay. Does someone want to make the motion for bylaw 1102-21?
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Councilor Peters makes that motion. Any discussion? And all in favor? Okay, good. Third reading. You wanna wait or you wanna do third reading now? You wanna make the motion?
I'll make the motion for third reading on the local improvement bylaw 1102-21.
Councilor Harker makes that motion. Third reading. Any discussion? And all in favor? Okay, good. Move down to 6.3, the pool season. Go ahead, Curtis.
We've been fielding some inquiries regarding what the status is of the pool this year. And so administratively, internally, we've talked about our recommendations, but we just wanted to have an opportunity for council and maybe to have a conversation about it. It takes about a month minimum before the pool opens that we would need time to prep and get everything ready, staff training and servicing, pool ready, the water made, tested and approved, and the general cleanup of the building. So just so council's aware, we have budgeted this year in our operating budget along the premise that we are opening the pool, so that if we do open the pool, there'll be sufficient revenues and expenditures included within the budget. However, if we do open the pool this year, administratively, we're recommending that we don't consider opening it until June 30th at the earliest. The reason for that is it's about $12,500 a week, and that number might not be 100% exact, I apologize, to run the pool, and in June, we're really not collecting revenue. And with all the COVID restrictions, it doesn't really make sense, the way the 3-week minimum requirements in between phases being progressed, to open sooner. And so what we're hoping is that we would wait until kind of that I'm just looking at my calendar here. May 18th council meeting, basically to determine if the pool is a yay or a nay. Administratively, if the restrictions are similar to what they were last year, again, the business case doesn't support opening. However, if council wants to have the political service level argument outweigh the business case, which is totally in your purview, then that's something we can definitely consider. But if things are progressing with case counts and the timelines between possibly changing phases from phase to phase to phase, I'm not optimistic there's gonna be a sufficient change to justify it, but that's totally in your purview for discretion. So I don't know if you have any questions or comments, but I just wanted to know if you guys are okay with that timeline of having kind of May 18th be our decision day for the pool for 2021. We'd love to have it open. I want to have that for the record. All the staff and administration would love to have it open under normal operations. And even if there's somewhat reduced operations, we can make it work. But if it's 15% occupancy and you have to contact trace, and they're really, it's more of a hassle than it is a benefit, and it's a cost.
So according to Dr. Henshaw's optimistic projections, we're supposed to be back to normal by July 1st, aren't we? Like 500 people, not back to normal, but 500 people in outdoor settings.
Well, we're still planning on having Calgary Stampede on July 3rd, so
Yeah, but
They're still
nobody's
July
there.
3rd.
this first week of July, they're still planning Calgary Stampede,
But
Wow.
nobody there, no Americans can bring their,
so,
can come up to
yeah.
be in it. It's gonna be a tough one.
Well, if everybody's all been so cooped up, they're gonna be all going to the Calgary. They'll have enough people from Calgary and Alberta go.
So just so council understands too, the four mayors at Sterling, McGrath, Cardston, and Raymond, they wanna have a meeting to talk about the pools opening up, and maybe we can
That's good.
have a different solution for all the four towns here, so.
I did do some research about water and pools, and I'm still trying to figure out how it's not safe. I'm really struggling with this. We can go to Costco, and it's a madhouse, but where there's chlorinated water flying all over the place, it's not safe. I'm having a real issue with this, if you wanna know the truth, so.
So we get to that,
I'm happy that you're doing that, and we should join in with some other people and say, logistically, show us why we shouldn't open our pools. To begin with, there's not even on the radar percentages under 40, there's no even indication that that's an at-risk population, so, yeah, we
and
need to open
I
our
think in
pools.
Lethbridge right now, they're making them wear masks when they go swimming, is that what I heard?
My granddaughter took her bronze
That's brutal.
thing, and she said it was the most hilarious thing she's ever done in her whole life, by the way,
Anyway.
yeah.
Well, I guess we'll wait and see, but I think May 18th sounds good to me. Councilor Fromm, I think you had a comment, sorry.
I do. I think, John, I agree with you 100%, but it's unfortunately Dean Hinshaw's the one with the gavel. She's the one with the power.
I don't know.
And we have to be at stage 4 before we can effectively open our swimming pools. We're back to stage 1. I support the business model, and I think June 30th is a great day to open. So, but May 18th will be even more important as a date, and we'll see what happens by May 18th.
Councilor Peters.
Hi, Mayor. A colleague of mine, we were visiting this morning and ended up calling Carson to talk to the councilor up there regarding what Carson did last year. I know this year is different than last year, but they actually did really well with the pool. They opened it, they had good usage. They minimized some of the risks by having people change at home, come in, they hardly use the dressing rooms, the change rooms. They found it pretty successful. We're going to lose money on the pool no matter what. I think that not having it last year really hurt our community with people coming and being able to participate in the summer months. We have a lot of young families with young kids that need to have that way of getting out and having an opportunity to exercise and play with other kids. So I'm fine with May 18th, and I'm good with wait till June 30th to open it. I'm totally fine with that, but I think we got to push and go as far as we can to create an environment that's conducive to have kids having fun and showing off what we have in town.
I agree.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it all depends on Dr. Henshaw, like Councilor Fromm said, so I guess we'll wait and see what everything's like by May 18th. But I think.
That's the best we can do.
What's that?
I think that's the best we can do.
Yeah, you're right. But I think as it gets closer to May 18th, Curtis, they could have some recommendations like what Councilor Peters was talking about, how they would do it, how we could do it if we were to open.
Okay.
Any other discussion on this?
Mayor,
Councilor Foss?
I'll just add my voice to the hope that we can find a way to do this. I hope that we can do it last year. I definitely hope we can do it this year. I think it's I would lean more towards the benefit to the community. I know that we budget for this, and I know it's a money loser, and it would be worse with COVID. But if we can make any case to make it work, I think we should try to.
Okay. That's why I hope they'll have some kind of plan for us to present to us on the 18th too. So. Okay, let's hope. Any other discussion on this? We'll move on to the next one. I can't get my computer to call it up, but I think it was on Heritage Days.
Yes.
Go ahead, Councilor. It's got to be Councilor Fong. Is that you?
Yes, we have had one meeting, and I think that our creative staff is ready to do at least what we did last year, depending on what opens up. And they've got a lot of irons in the fire, possibilities, and again, it's a waiting game. The biggest thing we've talked about is the fireworks, and I did have a good discussion with our fire chief, and I had a discussion with some other of our staff, and I had a discussion with Mike Smith. And I think it's probably well advised to have two shows. Mike has got a permit to do his on June 30th. And then I think we'd be going ahead and having our firemen do our show on July 1st. It makes sense.
Well, good. I'm glad you had some discussions. That's good.
I can't give you a lot of specifics about Heritage Days, but I know there have been a lot of requests of people wanting to know what we're doing, and it'll firm up the closer we get. Just like May 18th at the pool, it'll firm up the closer we get to Heritage Days date.
Very good. Councilor Peters, you have a question?
Yeah, again, last year was so crappy for everyone. I think last year we didn't know as much. I think now this year going in, we know a lot more of transfers and what we can do to prevent things. Like I'm full, let's go our outdoor program at Big Park with people wearing masks and social distance and have our program. Let's do our regular parade. Like these are my perspectives and my views of again, people that are afraid or unsure of things, stay home, but let's open things up and let's go back to the way things were as much as we can without crossing that line, I guess I'll say. But if Calgary Stampede can go ahead and do their thing, why can't we?
Good points. Just don't want to be doing anything that's against the law.
Yeah, I think you'll see restrictions coming for Calgary Stampede. They might just all be on television. Who knows what's going on there, but they are making plans.
And they still might pull the plug. I just heard last week that they're still, right now they're still planning on doing it.
I've heard that too. So.
And their thought behind it is that by the end of June, there's supposed to be enough people have the vaccination, they'll be safe to go to Calgary Stampede.
That's kind of Dr. Henshaw's
So
plan.
if everybody gets vaccinated, I guess they can have Stampede.
She has a lot of power somehow.
For sure.
So, but like Mayor said, I think we have to wait till closely. I like your comments, Councilor Peters. I agree. I'd like to have as much as we can. But we got to still follow up our healthcare guidelines, I guess.
I'm sure our administration will be, as we get closer, we'll be working things out and telling us what their plans are so we can have whatever we can have to the best we can do it.
And we will have as much as we can. The committee's active already.
Good. What about the rodeo part? Have they showed up at your meeting too?
No, we have not met with them, so I don't know what they're planning.
So last year they were planning out everything but the rough stock. And then it got rained out, so they didn't have that. They might be planning the same thing.
So yeah, I spoke with a member of the Stampede Committee, and they're planning like we are, but they're not incurring necessarily anything that has a cost yet, because they're waiting to kind of get an idea, but they're trying to arrange as much as possible, given the circumstances.
Okay, good. Any other question or discussion on this? Comments from anyone?
We should probably get updates out as soon as we possibly can, so We'll try to do that as a Heritage Committee anyway.
Okay, yeah, then let us know. Good point. Thank you. Okay, Councillor Higgy, 6.5.
Yes, I just wanted to bring, I was gonna bring this up last week, but I'll bring it up this week. More or less refresh my memory on this. I've had a few businesses talk to me about parklets, and we haven't talked about parklets since, I think, last fall. Do we have any plans for that? Did we budget for that at all? I can't remember what we decided,
Good question.
or what's happening with them.
Did we even have a review of what happened, what we thought of the parklets? Good question, Councillor Higgy. Do you remember that, Curtis?
Yeah, we had that as a possible capital item. It didn't make council priority for funding for the parklets. Wayfinding was kind of the priority and going with a bit of downtown beautification. So that's where the majority of the funding is being spent. That doesn't preclude individual businesses. I mean, typically businesses are putting parklets in front of their own stores and applying for permits, and that's still available. If a business is interested in doing something and funding those costs for their own parklet, that's something that they can reach out to us and we can work them through that process, and we'd be very happy to do so. But as far as council allocating funding, I don't know how much was actually put through that would be available for that.
I don't think he's talking that.
No, there's just a lot of talk going around that there's one that apparently the town's putting one in. So I told him I didn't hear anything about it, I haven't heard anything about it, so I just thought I'd bring it up just for some clarification.
To my knowledge, we're not putting anything in. No plans have been made. I haven't seen any designs or construction drawings or any budgeted item amounts, so.
Okay. Just wanted to know to tell people.
Councillor Fong.
They're popping up around Lethbridge all over already, and they're cheap. They're like planters and chairs.
Yeah.
And they just worked off a few parking lots. They don't cost anything, seriously. They can be done with permission or with a permit, and they can be done very, very cheaply and very portably. They don't have to be a big commitment from the capital budget or anything.
Well, Broadway Bouquets did it last year, they put out their.
Yeah.
On the sidewalk.
Which is great, you know, people can go out there and have their ice cream and, good idea.
With the way the restrictions are and some allowances for outdoor eating, that's, that may be the only solution to some of this.
Yeah, very
Exactly.
true.
Absolutely.
Mayor, and kind of go along with that, my discussion this morning too was about the pancake breakfast, and the idea was, well, it's a big outdoor patio, not sure why we couldn't do it, but the restaurants could do something like that too, just create bigger space, have more tables.
Yeah, for sure.
I agree. If you can line up at Costco and get takeout, you can pick up your pancakes. You gotta
Sure.
think outside the box here, people.
That's 15% of capacity of an outdoor,
Yeah,
gathering like that. It could be a good size
it
number.
can be a pretty big number.
Yeah, that football field's pretty big.
It's pretty big.
We'll let that Heritage Days Committee come back to us with recommendations on all this.
Yeah, follow those big block stores, those big chain stores. Just do what they do.
Any other discussion on any of these? We'll move on to committee reports. As you can see, the committee reports, there's a few here, there's a few new ones I didn't get a chance to see. Curtis, I don't know if you saw on mine, I meant to talk to you, but I've been busy too. There's a provincial cultural grant for $10,000. You aware of this?
No, I'm not.
May 7th is the deadline. That could be some good money for us.
Is a drive-in concert cultural?
Or even this,
Our Heritage Days
Our
is
Heritage
cultural
Days.
for sure.
that's what I was thinking more of our Heritage Days. So if we could get some money for it, that'd be great. To help with it, I should say. Any comments from anybody's reports?
I didn't have any meetings, so I didn't really have a report, but I did get an email from the Ag Society. There's a new grant that's been offered through Rocky Mountain Equipment. I think 4 or 5 across the province, and they're gonna apply for it. And just so you know, Curtis, I offered if they request some help in applying for that.
Any other comments from anybody on the reports? I just wanna make a comment, it's not a report, but a committee report anyway, but I don't know if you heard about the fish, but I think this is pretty big to our community. So I've been in contact with the Alberta Conservation Association, and all of a sudden they sent me an email last week that they're gonna send 5,000 fish out. And even the day the truck was coming, which was yesterday, when the truck driver phoned me, I asked him how many fish, because I couldn't believe it. He said he had 5,000, so 5,000 fish were put into.
So they're in Corner Lake. Whoopee-dee.
And it's all free.
My grandkids are so excited.
It's awesome. Just think of the economic boost this will be for our community as people come into our town to go fish. That's what they want. They want this to be a lake to be used. They said there's nothing in this part of the Alberta that people can go fish, and they want people to come. So it's going to be great.
Fabulous.
I was out there last night with my 4 grandkids, and we caught about 8 fish. I didn't fish. I just was baiting hooks and helping them get things untangled. And there was about 20 people when I was there. I think there's more during the afternoon. Anyway, Councillor Foss, you have a comment?
Just a question I was gonna ask, if this organization is putting the fish in, are they promoting the fact that fish are there, or is this something we should be doing?
No, they says they're happy to have all the exposure they can, so that's why.
So I do have some video. John Fisher, though, was kind enough to offer to allow him to share his drone footage with us as well that he took there. So I was kind of waiting to see if I could get that first, but we'll put something up tomorrow regardless, and then we can add to it later. So.
Yeah. And they want people to fish there, so I guess the limit is 5. Am I right? 5 a person? Has anyone looked it up? I was told that.
What kind of fish are they?
They're trout, rainbow trout.
Yeah.
And everybody that I saw was turning them back in almost. There's one person who was keeping them all, but most were
How
putting
big
them
are
back in for catch and release.
It's little right now, right?
And anyway, there were some questions about pike eating fish. I guess these are the experts that know more about this than we do, but they said that they're at the size where they can get away from the pike. Sure, there might be a few eaten, and we don't know how many pike are in there, but there's 5,000 fish. It's a lot of fish.
A lot of fish.
They're hoping as the public is fishing, they'll be pulling out pike as well, and that'll help to weed it down. So
That's very true.
That's good.
Anyway, just kind of
A lot of fish, a lot of fat
fun
bite.
little fact for Raymond. I don't know how we got on their list.
Oh, Raymond does it
We
again.
did.
Probably because weren't you bugging him,
I
Mayor?
wasn't bugging him. I had really kind of given up on it, and all of a sudden I got a
Well,
phone
we have a
call
resident
to send him another
that's-
email.
I'd
So I
love to
sent
do
him an
this.
email and.
Jamie Beeks
Oh, okay, good. Awesome.
had a lot to do with it.
Okay,
Just one
so,
quick point, if anybody's catch and release, they should not throw pike back in.
no, they want the pike caught
Keep
and
them out.
reported.
Yeah, maybe put that in your video and your press release.
Should
Just
see-
put a sign in there, if you catch a pike, do not throw it back.
Yeah,
So there's about a dozen people there when they were unloading the fish into the lake, and they had them in a little, maybe an 8-inch tube coming out of the truck, and those fish were swimming like heck up, against the force that was pushing them down.
they're trying to go back
They were
up.
trying to go back up. They were
Really?
swimming hard.
They didn't want to go into the lake.
No.
That's funny.
And then, yeah, but they all got pushed out. It was pretty cool, wasn't it, Curtis?
Awesome.
Anyway, we need a motion to accept committee reports.
I'll move.
Councillor Hagee does that. Any discussion? All in favor? Good. Correspondence. Does anyone have any one of these on correspondence they want us to look at in particular?
Just you'll see that on CFL, and there actually are 6 businesses in Raymond that are taking advantage of the community futures money that's available.
That's good.
So it's not totally unheard of, but it could be, like they said in the delegation, it could be made known to people, I think.
Did you say 6, Councilor Brown?
6 businesses.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is pretty good. We went through a long time when we had none.
That's That is good.
But I think COVID has made a big difference there.
Okay, any other discussion on anything else? If not, we need a motion to accept correspondence.
I'll move to accept that second.
Councillor Harker makes that motion, all in favor? Good. And there's no closed items, this is awesome. Well, Councillor Capeters? You're
You're
on mute.
mute.
Yep, that always happens. One thing I wanted to add, if I could, just wanted to pass on to the council that last week, students from the RHS met with some rec groups, and they went out and cleaned up around the cemetery, around the golf course, and they did that in anticipation of being able to use the golf course in June for their golf tournament.
Oh, great,
Great.
yeah, great, that's good to hear. Good to see our communities wanting to help like that, especially in the high school. Is it high school and junior high, both?
It was just the high school student athletes that are gonna most likely benefit from that golf tournament fundraiser.
Okay,
The administration let them go about 12:30, and they spent the afternoon out cleaning up, and it made a big difference.
great, that's good to hear, thank you for reporting that. Okay, well, now we need a motion for adjournment.
I'll move it.
Councillor Harker makes that
We're waiting for
motion.
that.
All in favor? Okay, good. Thank you for attending.